well, we continue onwards. Another day of StarCraft 2. It's a fresh one. Gotta get the sleepy jitters away for a moment still, and then I'm sure we'll do better and better as time goes onwards, right? Bottom left side, we got a blue Zerg player. Fighting for the Kaisi Gamers. He is Solar. Top right side, the teamless Protoss right now. He's in the red colors. Hurricane. Hurricane. Hurricane also one of those Protoss that felt like, is this going to be the next big guy on the Protoss block for a while? Hasn't quite managed to do so just yet, and right now, honestly, at least for me, he's kind of fallen out of the overall view of the Protoss players I have. To be fair, I don't play Protoss myself, so maybe that is another reason why I don't spend as much attention to him. That could be the reason, right? No offense to Hurricane, he's a pretty good player, but you know, it's not the race that I watch the most. Nor does he show up that many times in these types of events that I get to cast, right? So, So yeah, curious to see how he is going to do against Solar here. Solar, of course, a player that is quite strong recently. Doing really well. It's definitely getting a lot of denied mining there from that probe. Well done with that probe, by the way. That's some of the better probe blocking I've seen. Or how do you call it? Just kind of mineral taunting. And there goes the transfer. Hurricane making sure none of them will be able to become that comfortable, quick third base. And Solar, not even attempting it, to be fair. I mean, he's just going to grab his queens and 2 Zerglings in. That's fine with him. He's also going to grab speed already. So relatively early on speed, but not crazy early on. Alright, Hurricane has his natural base as well, with a Stargate behind it. Stargate, I would assume, is going to be for the Void Ray here, perhaps? Let's see actually where this was. No, this is going to be an Oracle, most likely. It's going to fly through that Overlord if it's not careful. At least with the waypoint right now, as it stands. Single Adept here, trying to get a good glimpse into what's going on with the Zerg as well. Gets a little bit of insight, sees the third base, sees that there's a reasonable amount of drones here on that natural. So you can infer that most likely is what's happening overall. Just a droning is occurring. These 2 adapts might be a little bit pesky here. We only have the 1 queen, of course, and 2 Zerglings. But it seems like the adapts don't find themselves a clean opportunity to get them on top of some drones here. The queens have been able to kind of hold them at bay for most of the time. Losing a creep to me there, never a good thing, of course. But I'd say it's still preferable to a drone. But to be fair, he does not have any creep spread right now. So creep spread going to be a big thing here for Solar. We'll need to look into that to, of course, still get that kind of going. A couple of Zerglings here. I don't think that is enough overall. With a bit of good positioning. Does get the probe though, so that's a win. And one of the adepts as well. Wouldn't be too upset about that. Units lost tab. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it kind of made it fair again, in a sense, right? Delaying that third base a little bit as well. There we have another Stargate. Oracle is flying over, but we went for a Void Ray first, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So the Oracle is a little bit later than it may have been otherwise. Still gets 2 workers, doesn't lose too much of its health. Forces a Spore Crawler there to be temporarily created. Another bit of money, right, going down. And another drone. Alright. It's not game-ending damage, but, you know, it's something. He's doing things, guys, you know. More Zergling scoutage. Need to see what kind of army composition Hurricane is going for, of course. Solar getting the lair upgraded, as well as the melee attack for the time being. There's a Baneling Nest. Are we going to see Lingbane Hydralisk here? I hope he is aware of the fact that there are a lot of Void Rays being produced right now. So far, he hasn't really gotten the exact information just quite yet, right? He hasn't gotten it written out to him just quite yet. Losing a couple of more drones here. It's going to lose 5 now. Just loses 4. But this is starting to add up slowly. 8 workers in total right now. But yeah, Solar, I'm not entirely convinced that he knows what he's up against. Seeing that we still don't have a Hydralisk then, nor do we have a Spire on the way. Neither of them really coming through here. Now there's 2 Void Rays. To be fair, we only went up to 4 of them. For 2 Stargates, that's not that much. That's a good cancel on that 4th base. There we are. Well done, Hurricane. Might be able to do it again here with the other 2 Void Rays coming in as well. Need to have some good transfuse. Oh, doesn't quite get it. He did have one available on this one. Apparently on the other one as well. Okay, this is rough. 4 Void Rays are just coming in here, and Solar just doesn't have anything to stop it. 2 more Queens come in, but... my oh my. Nice, 4 Queens just gone. Obliterated. No longer part of the game. They no longer exist. Alright. 5 more gateways being added in here as well. Maybe Hurricane seeing an opportunity to finish off his opponent with a bit of a timing coming up. 2 Spore Crawlers make it very difficult for the Void Rays to do something similar to the main base as they did to the 4th base. So they will not stick around there for too long. Still surprised we only have the 4 Void Rays with the double Stargates. I suppose he could still try to go on for a transition later on into Fleet Beacon or something like that, but I don't know. 11 Hydralisk coming up with a good amount of upgrades as well. Those upgrades are going to be quite important here for Solar, and hopefully for him he's going to be able to complete most of those at least before another battle does take place. Seems like Hurricane's still trying to assemble most of his forces on his side of the map, but an attack might not be too far off here. Or at least a little bit of pressure to force Solar to make more units instead of drones again. Because it's not that much, right? It's not that much. Solar should have more than enough to push this backwards. And that's, of course, if he's also preoccupied with Zealots in the main base. Oh boy. Alright, that looks like it's been dealt with very nicely. More Zealots on another base here, on the 3rd base. And the 4th base, the army is there to help out with the defense. The Zealots on the 3rd, though. They're getting some drones. 3 more go down. Again, it's not insane. These Banelings, though, that is pretty nutty. 11 probes go down there. Quite a couple of Banelings as well, of course, though, sacrificing themselves for that attack. Well, it does keep himself ahead quite nicely with the worker count here because of it. Army supply also still in his favor. Is this the moment where Solar will start to make his final move? He's looking for it. Getting a good surround here and watching out for the storms. Reasonable split so far. Nicely, pretty reasonably spread out, at least on the right side. Banelings on the left side as well, coming in from behind. Archon's trying to buffer for the High Templar. The High Templar, a lot of them still get hit. And they have struggled to manage to get any storms off onto the actual army of Solar here. Solar with a wonderful turnaround with those Banelings is coming in now. 2 more storms available, but with just storms, that is not going to be something you hold off against. GG is called, and Solar takes game number 1. Yeah, well played there by Solar. Giganotha will be going into his favor. Romanticide as the next map. Afterwards, we have Submarine, Oxide, and Pillars of Gold as well. Still in the queue. If we do get there, of course. If we do get there. Yeah, Solar looking quite strong in that one, right? He took some damage here and there. It wasn't that much. He was having a proper defense overall and ensuring that nothing too crazy in drone losses was occurring. Slowly, it started adding up a little bit over time, and that started to get me sweating a little bit. But in the end, it seemed like Solar absolutely fine with the entire situation. And, yeah, just pushing in there in the end like an absolute beast and flattening his opponent. What else can we say? In the top left side, we got the blue Zerg player fighting for Kai C Gaming. He is Solar. Bottom right side, we got the red Protoss. He's teamless. He is Hurricane. Alright. Are we going to see something similar here as game number 1? I don't know. Probably. I mean, Romanticide, very similar map overall, as Giganotha, I want to say, is to how likely it is that we're going to go into a macro game. Hurricane here will be trying to claim his expansion on the low ground, of course. I still feel like we may see some sort of adept pressure as well from Hurricane. I'm not sure if that's something he still does now and again, or if that's just out of the books of place right now for him. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. Solar, I believe, infamous for not being that great against the adept glaive attack. A couple of times when I did see him go up against it, it wasn't too uncommon to see him kind of fumble the early on defense. Even if he would just have a very low drone setup already to begin with, he would still seemingly struggle against the adepts. Just to not take any damage. But that's of course now something in the hands of Hurricane, what he wants to do. Yeah. Alright, we'll be the Stargate after all. You didn't get a block on the natural base either with a probe, so makes sense. Alright, so this time the Stargate, will it be the Void Ray first or the Oracle first? I'm gonna assume it's gonna be the same as the previous round, as we are seeing Hurricane already doing pretty much the same stuff as we saw the previous round. So still sticking to what he came into the series with as a game plan. And there is indeed that Void Ray. See if he goes for the Oracle afterwards, and then another Stargate. It is an interesting thing that we see Hurricane do, though, of course. I mean, there is always this question on how do you transition with the Void Rays, right? Because you can't just go mass Void Ray. Hydralisk should be able to just beat you then, right? Or Queens, or Mutalisk for that matter. It becomes too easy for the Zerg to just heavy counter you, basically, is what it comes down to. You need to have some other stuff as well, and that other stuff could be from the Robo, it could be from the Templar Archives, any type of splash damage kind of to bully back the anti-air of the Zerg. This time around we're only sticking to the one Stargate, so we are mixing things up. Hurricane here going for the Twilight Council a little bit quicker this time around. Still has the one Void Ray here, of course. Probably won't get a cancel on the base this time around, but will find himself 2 drone kills. Yeah, gets 2. The Queens might be able to get him, though. Oh, just so close. Barely not. Oh, Zergling's coming in at a interesting time. Don't quite go for it. There is an Oracle and an Adept on top of them. Would have been a rough kill. Or forced cancel. Zerglings. See the 4 Adepts coming across. We have the Adept Glaive upgrade on the way, actually, as well. Alright. So, from the Stargate to the Adepts. Trying to make things a little bit more confusing here for Solar. Solar tries to find some backdoor damage. As the Adepts, of course, went across the map. But there's still the Oracle there. And a couple more Warpins also coming in. Adepts here. Trying to get themselves a little bit closer to the drones. We don't have the Adept Glaive just quite yet, guys. Keep that in mind as the Adepts are already on top of the drones right now. 2 of them only falling. A good amount of Zerglings as well, though. And I think getting rid of Zerglings at this moment is very important, as that's going to influence the follow-up attack quite heavily, right? Less Zerglings, less Banelings, less units overall for Solar. Just going to be a better time overall for Hurricane here. If he is planning to get aggressive with this, of course, which I assume that he would be. But as time is going on, I'm starting to wonder. Do we have even a War Prism? No, we do not. That is normal, though. Normally you skip the War Prism, but I did see him make a Robo as well. Yeah, he did make the Robo. Just making the Observer for the time period. Alright. But, yeah, usually if people do go for the Stargate, they skip out on the Robo a little bit so that, you know, they make up for the lost money overall. And then this attack still kind of comes in around the same time. Rather, well, around the same time. It's still a little bit later, but not that much later, right? Hurricane seeing the amount of Banelings, though, not really feeling his luck, and just gonna sits backwards here, keeps the Adepts alive, though, of course. That's also a big deal. Might be able to utilize them in a later on push with some more advanced unit attack there as well to help out the Adepts. Yeah, there we go. Adepts might force a cancel here. That's pretty good. There we are. Gets the drone as well. Another shade backwards. Might be able to catch a couple of Queens here. Banelings, nice. Alright. Got a shade. Oh boy, that may have been a little bit too late. The Zergling's already on top of this. The Baneling's coming in really quickly. Oh yeah, that shade was a tiny little fraction too slow. Nice status trap there by Hurricane, as well as the Oracle now coming in to get 4 more kills to add to that. Pretty good. 63 workers only remaining now for Solar, even though we only have 9 workers being picked off. Kind of trademark Solar in a sense, where he just doesn't get that many drones overall to begin with. Hurricane here with a lot of High Templar on a lot of sides. Storm is about to finish up. That is going to be crucial. But still, he's going to have to see these units coming in here. Oh, the Observer having a fortunate moment here, seeing those Banelings coming in. There's the Storm. Was the Storm still in time? I think it should be. Should be able to get those other Banelings away from there as well. There we go. Only losing a single High Templar. Surprisingly. Proper force fields there, keeping those Banelings at bay. Interesting. Where does Hurricane want to take it from here? What kind of army composition is he going for? Zealot, Archon, High Templar, Immortal. A couple of sentries. That's kind of what it looks like we're going towards. Might be okay against the Hydra Ling Baneling, but I'm not entirely convinced that it's going to be good against the Lurk attack, which most likely will be following up here. Another good status trap, by the way, as well. Well done there by Solar. That's such a flimsy army. That's such a scarily flimsy army here for Hurricane. Solar just manages to get a good surround on that army. It is gone. There's nothing you can do. There's no amount of storms you can cast with that army that's going to save you. Needs to beef up a little bit here. Oh, Oracle. Ah, Oracle lives. Alright. They call him the Trapper. Because he traps all the drones continuously. Okay, there we go. There's some extra beef. 2 more Archons. That'll help. It's not... It's, kind of a... Okay, there we go. There's some aggression. Never mind. Solo moving away again. He does have the Lurkers now, so... He is in a position where he does have that late game tech. The late game tech now coming up for Hurricane as well, though. Those carriers are coming in quickly. Do we have an observer here against the Lurkers? I don't think we do. No, oh, there it comes. Right, he does enter in. Okay, and yeah, both players just kind of sticking to their own side of the map here, trying to get themselves into the ultimate late game technology tree, right? There is some attempts from Solar, but any serious attempts? Not really, right? Yeah, there we go. Took him a little bit to get the surround on the Stalkers there, but they managed to get it in the end. All the upgrades coming up, of course. The ranged upgrade for the Locust now, the quick burrow, adrenal glands, some more plus weapon upgrades, and for Solar or for Hurricane, sorry, we see the blink, of course, air weapons and armor and shields as well coming in. So he is making a full transition here, while still keeping the capabilities of his ground force somewhat up there as well. Oh, another status trap. Zealots on the 12 o'clock as the army of Hurricane is moving in on the bottom left territory. Lurkers need to get themselves in a good position. There's nothing to shoot the air there. Those, oh boy, those Lurkers are still kind of fighting the ground forces as well. I suppose that's their luck, but I mean, those carriers are just finishing them off quite rapidly here. Carriers so far only have been able to kind of deal with Lurkers and Spore Crawlers, so no economic damage just yet been taken here by Solar. But Solar needs to be careful. Alright, fighting the Interceptors. Those storms are quite a terrifying thing. Another Spore Crawler there as well, trying to see any observers that get a bit too close. This base will fall, so Hurricane finally does find some real economic damage. As Hurricane now ties up the overall base count, right? We are tied up on bases. Very good thing here for Hurricane. Manages to stop a lot of those Lurkers from hatching from their cocoons, as well as he is just pushing on through here. It looks like Solar not ready for this type of army, and just doesn't have what he needs right now to hold this off. Almost getting that carrier right there, but one more storm does force all those Hydras backwards. And another base will most likely fall. Solar desperately trying to hold on to whatever he can. Doesn't lose too many drones. That's a good thing, of course. But losing 2 bases in such short succession without being able to do anything against your opponent on the other side of the map, it's a scary thing to think about. 5 more carriers at a time being constructed here, as well as those upgrades. They're getting worse and worse for Solar here. Plus 3 air weapons, as well as the plus 2 air armor coming up. is going to make those carriers absolutely insane. Corruptors would be a very strong choice here, as we have Hurricane with a very ground-orientated army. Right? I mean, he's got the carriers, he's got 3 Archons and 4 I-Templar. He doesn't really have any Stalkers. Well, the 3 Archons are still a difficult thing to take into account, but with a lot of Corruptors here, you might be able to still counteract those carriers, although they are up to a number of 10 right now, which isn't a safe thing. It's not, doesn't give you many safe feelings overall. A lot of Hydralisks here already going down. They are taking a lot of Interceptors out with them, though. 3 carriers now out of juice. Are we going to be able to get a good couple of yoinks here? Come on, Vipers. They're oh so careful of those High Templar, of course. 16 drones did go down during all of this as well. So they'll have to reproduce a couple of them. Venus lost tab. Quite heavily in favor for Hurricane here. Another thing looking in his favor. As Solar trying to get those Corruptors off the ground. Trying to get the +1/+1 air weapons and armor as well, but this is rough. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to stick around for very much longer. He's not even maxed out on supply. The Spore Crawler's not that numerous either. Just needs to hold on here, trying to just fight the Interceptors without anything else being involved. Sniping Interceptors one at a time. Slowly lowering the DPS output of this Protoss army, but the Protoss army is just going to jump right on top of everything here. Sees a couple of Corruptors and will just make short work out of them. All the Lurkers are gone. Solar taps out. GG is called. Hurricane ties up this series. Very well done. That was an impressive play there by Hurricane. For a moment, yeah, it seemed like Solar didn't really have all that much to say about it anymore, right? After the carriers really go on the field, he never quite got a good response settled for those air units. The Hydras trying their best, but the Corruptors switch way too late, if that is what he wanted to bank it on. And yeah, couldn't make it work. Couldn't make it work. Solar losing a ton of bases as well, of course. Never a good thing either. Maybe if he did keep all those bases alive, maybe then he would have been in a much better position, of course. Then he would have been able to afford a transition into those Corruptors. And then maybe he would have had a much better shot at taking out those carriers. At least if he was max supply, right? He wasn't even max supply there in the end. Hurricane, very well executed game. A lot of patience being shown. A lot of grit, just being able to kind of keep himself going straight towards that ultimate Protoss army. And staying safe of all the counterattacks of Solar as well. Solar did try to, here and there, run by with a couple of units, but never quite managed to get on top of anything. So, a big contributing factor as well, of course. Bottom right side, we got ourselves a blue Zerg player fighting for the KC Gamers. Solar. His opponent in the red colors, he is the Protoss. He is teamless. Hurricane. And off they go again. Submarine, a very small map. It's not uncommon for the Zergs to go for a spawning pool first here. Don't think that's what we're going for, though. We are going to go for a hatchery for Solar. Now, we'll get blocked off for a little bit here, at least. Alright. Always a little bit ahead of Inu. Yeah, it seems. This is a map where I would anticipate. If Solar does get aggressive in this best of 5, this is one of the maps where it's most likely to happen, right? It's a very short distance. Can make a nice little creep highway there, perhaps with the overlords, or just initial creep spread, right? Just focus it one way heavily. Both of them just kind of expanding, doing their thing. Waiting to see when the interesting stuff happens. Another Stargate. That previous game as well, Hurricane started off with the Adept Glaive after the Stargate as well, and then never quite managed to do anything with it, did he? Solo here, gonna let that probe get away. I really thought he would be able to get it, but... Huh, interesting. Guess he saw the Adept coming up as well. I don't know. Again, the Void Ray will be coming up. Strong tool in the arsenal of the Protoss. The best way to deny any type of scouting. And the best way to transition into something else, right? It's very safe opening just having that Void Ray around. It's not going to find a lot of Overlords to take down though. Unless if it gets lucky and finds that Overlords all the way to the middle top there. But it's not going to fly that far, is it? Oh, it is. Right, yeah, he is looking for it. Might need to still move into it, though. Okay, there we are. Does find it. Well done. Kind of looking at Solar here. He's had a fairly good opportunity to drone up here. Maybe even more so, of course, after he's noticed that it is a Stargate opening. You just need to make sure to have the appropriate number of queens and or spore crawlers in each base. And it looks like that is the case. So yeah, he should be quite happily droning up right now. He's making a Roach Warren as well. Of course, he did get bamboozled the previous game with the... Sudden Adept aggression after the first Stargate, so that might still be on his mind here, right? Which is why he's adding in the Roach Warren. As long as he doesn't make too many roaches. Unless if he's planning to attack, of course. We're not seeing any drones here. Yeah, okay, he's planning to attack, okay. Alright, alright. He wants to take out the third base, most likely. The Queen's trying to get as much creep there further forwards, I suppose. Ooh, luckily for him, that creep tumor does survive here. The Queens are marching. They are a-coming. A couple of Zerglings here, a little bit wasting their lives, but now finding some probes. There we are. Oh, yeah, 3, 4. Could get 4. Nice. Surround on the Adept. Sure, let's go for it. Alright, Zealot as well. Let's grab him. Alright, reasonable amount of units being cleaned up there by the first couple of Zerglings. The Roaches now on top of the wall here. Want to try to target down that Adept. Grant access. There's 5 Oracles though above those Queens. Those Queens are going to desperately try to transfuse one another. They don't have that much energy though. The transfuse is running out already. 3 Queens remaining, but the Oracle's also running out of juice here. That could be a problem because there's still a whole lot left to clean up. The Queens, they are falling now, but as we said, the Oracle's out of energy. The probes, though, they are still under severe threat of imminent death and destruction. GG is called. Solo wins the game quite nicely here with his all-in, finding a Hurricane. As trying to do something Something peculiar with all those oracles right there, I tell you. Wasn't even quite aware that that many oracles were being built. I was not fully aware, but apparently, yeah, the oracle's not as great against the Queen Roach Ling attack as maybe perhaps the Void Race would be. Although the Void Race would have their own struggles, you would be able to kind of keep them at least, well, a couple of times when I do see Protoss hold off against that successfully, right? What I usually tend to see them do is try to pull back behind their buildings with their flying units as well, and just try to get as much value against those ground forces as possible. The Queens are going to have a very rough time trying to get through your own walled choke point. So the Zerg is basically forced to try and take out your buildings first, as your Void Race are just zapping away. Your Void Race and, of course, your other ground forces as well, hopefully, if you have any. That and shield batteries. Shield batteries, very important as well, of course. Didn't quite have any of that there for Hurricane. I know sometimes when you see a fight go that way, it's like, well, how in the world was he ever supposed to win that battle? Just did not seem like it was possible. Maybe that's true, but there's definitely steps that can be made there to try and increase those odds of winning that quite a bit, at least in my opinion. Top right side, Kaiser Gamer Blue Zerg player, Mr. Solar. Bottom left side, the red Protoss player, he is teamless, but still putting up quite a fight here, Mr. Hurricane. As the next match begins, we know, of course, Solar on match point here. Hurricane on the hot seat. Will he perform better or worse under the pressure? That's the question here. Some players manage to relax in these situations where they're like, alright, well, I probably already lost anyway. Let's just try to give it my best game and we'll see what happens. Other players might tense up, being like, oh no, now I'm on the verge of utter defeat, and that obscures their overall thoughts. Makes it difficult to focus on the game and execute the plans that you would normally be able to if you're just in a relaxed kind of mindset, entirely focused on the game. As this little probie tries to once again be a nuisance to the drones. Very peaceful planet with the birds just chirping around. Do the birds' noises get less as the game goes on, or is it just me not being able to focus on them anymore? Because there's nothing much else going on right now. That is the reason why I'm actually hearing them. Because it would be quite a cool game concept in a sense, right? To make the map feel more alive in a way. Where if there's actual fighting going on and there's more and more explosions and such, less and less birds are heard because they're all fleeing away from the explosions and the fighting and the overall war that is going on. That'd be pretty cool. Is that something they're already doing? Alright, well then I didn't know. There we go. Stargate opening. Another time here for Hurricane. Truly his way to approach this matchup. I don't blame him. I really do not blame him. If I was playing Protoss right now in PvZ, this is what I would be doing as well. Just Stargate every single game. Get myself that Void Ray and get rid of the Overlords, and then, you know, you can just kind of... As long as you don't have anything walking through your front door, you should be okay. You will not get scouted that easily. And you can do whatever sneaky strat you want, or any type of army composition suddenly to run out of the door and try to crush your opponent with it, right? Alright, Oracle not managing to find damage here really, but finds a creep tumor, I suppose, right? That's something. Robo coming up as well. Okay. So no weird Twilight Council follow-up this time around. It looks like it will just be straight into the Colossi, perhaps, but... Wait a moment, there is still a Twilight Council coming in. Could just be for the charge as well, though, of course. Or the blink. I don't know what he's entirely expecting his opponent to do. And we see the Roach Warren coming up. We have 52 workers, still 10 more workers right now being produced. So I don't think we're going to see any type of all-in with the Roaches this time around. At least I would assume we are not. Otherwise the droning here would be a little bit confusing. That's the Roach speed, yeah. Okay. Hydra then afterwards as well. Oh, just straight into the infestation pit. And what do we have? A Dark Shrine coming up for Hurricane. Hurricane doubling down on that sneaky beaky strategy. He's gonna try to catch his opponent further off guard. I mean, it worked with the, the adepts in a sense, but was that enough? I don't know if it was enough damage, honestly, either. Oh, he won that game in the end, so... You know, maybe that is enough. Just surprise Solar. Make him second guess himself, and then voila, there you go. Swarm Host. Oh, alright. Straight up into Swarm Host. I'm still always a bit, like, how to say this? I'm still always a bit surprised when I see the Swarm Host again. I feel like they've fallen out of fashion a little bit. Because of the more regular use of the Stargate opening. It's more easy for the Protoss to kind of spot the Nidus Swims. But then, people have been using the Swarm Host without the Nidus Swims a lot as well, so... I think that is what we're seeing here from Solar, unless if I missed the Nidus Swim coming up. Okay, I didn't, so that is good. Still got my eyesight working. Hopefully. War Prism doesn't get much done. There are a couple of Disruptors now on the way as well. I mean, those Disruptors could be a great force to kind of impose a counterattack here. Oh, but those Locusts, they jump right on top of the Immortals. We'll be able to get one of them, almost getting the second one. Yes, they will. Solar just on top of this base right now. Is this already going to be the end of it? We need to have those Disruptors here. We need to have them as quickly as possible. It's going to be a while before the next wave of Locust is coming in, but as soon as it does, that could be quite the lethal blow here for Hurricane. It just does not seem like he has what he needs at this moment to take care of such an enormous flock of Locust. Right, he only has the one Archon and a couple of Adepts there. That's it, that's all he has. Oh, good Disruptor shot right there. Strikes back with a vengeance. The force fields here incredibly important. Another Disruptor shot landing home. That's a good start. The Locust not really getting on top of these valuable units, so they're going to be gone pretty soon as well. It may seem like Hurricane slowly starting to hold here, guys. It's got another disruptor. Disruptor shot incoming from the back. Not quite managing to get the connection there, but... oh, it's getting close. More disruptorage. There they go. Roaches up in flames. Locust now. Or the Swarmhost. Suddenly caught out. A lot of them get picked off, and the Stalkers just get the heck out of there. So not only a lot of the Swarmhost going down, but also another entire wave of Locusts here being wasted by Solar. That was definitely a little bit of a panic. Perhaps he wanted to send a lot of them still into the main base as well, but couldn't quite get the boys up in the sky still quick enough, or at least give them the command to go into the main base before they were like, oh, wait a moment, there's Stalkers here. We can try to kill some Stalkers here. And then they will just drop on the ground as well, of course. Solar's still trying to push on forwards here. It's going to be a rough push through the Protoss buildings overall. This is a very weird battle. Bit surprised we see Hurricane moving out onto the field once again. But, I mean, he kind of has to try and defend that third base, I suppose, right? He's not allowed to just sit back onto his natural. Because that third base still a win condition here for him. Needs to keep it up. Okay, Solar might have another wave of Locusts coming up here momentarily, although the wave of Locusts not that scary anymore when there's only 4 Swarmhosts. So it looks like Hurricane dealt with this quite nicely. Oh, Banelings. Banelings! Oh, he turned around. Oh, wow, that split as well. Comes back for him. Oh. A little bit of micro there from those two players. Quite nice to see. We're not seeing any new Swarmhost coming up. That's interesting. Solo not feeling like he is committed to it at all. To that type attack, which is kind of fun to see as well. It really was just a temporary timing attack, and now he's just going back into the more regular, standard, established play of Zergs, right? The Ling Baneling Ravager is one of those to try and counteract the force fields and then get all the Banelings on top, of course. And then we have the most likely going to transition this into Lurkers again as well. I would assume, right? That is where most of the Zerg armies go into these days. More harassment on this base. This could go down here. The drone's struggling. Alright, they're like, you know what? Never mind. We'll just go and mine someplace else. That is fine. Hopefully you won't kill that base as well. Although they are flying over towards that base right now. On top of it, there's a potential fight going to happen here. Alright, circlings onto that extra base as well. The Warpers are not doing anything on that hatchery. Interesting. 2 Colossi yoinks. That is interesting as well. Those Banelings, not sure if you want them to explode on to them. So they will not be able to do any AoE damage, but at least they do get rid of the Colossi, I suppose. The Nexus survives. Oh, that is rough. That is not supposed to happen. That was supposed to be taken out. Even just leaving like 4 circlings there probably would have been able to take it out. With the adrenal glands in particular. Hurricane, though, not feeling all that comfortable with his army supply to start pushing across the map here onto the creep. Will have some second thoughts about that. Solar comes in again for another wave onto this 4th base of Hurricane. Hurricane again coming in with the War Prism as well. The DTs and Zealots on top of those drones right there. Causing quite the stir. A lot of Banelings here getting in between all of the Protoss forces. Disruptor shots landing quite nicely. Solar still moving forward. Still sees himself as the person winning this fight. Is he going to be right? I don't know. Those Colossi doing a ton of damage. At least he did kill the 4th base, but he is no longer in possession of a 5th base of his own. And 10 workers also go down during all of this. Guys, Solar is only on 59 workers right now. How many did he lose in total? 16. Again, I mean, Solar with an extremely low drone count. This seems to be one of the things he struggles the most with. Just when do you recreate those drones? When is the time to do so? Almost finding a... Wait, was that the Robo Bay? No, it was just a gateway. Alright, he finds the Twilight Council, though. So that's nice. If he wants to get Adept Glaives upgraded, then, you know, it's gonna be a while. Alright, Hurricane here. Once again, getting a bit feisty. He does have the better economy, but the army supply is still in favor for Solar here. If there were to be a fight at this moment, I think just slightly it will go into Solar's favor, but that's not going to last for all too long, since Solar, well, he is maxed out. Hurricane, on the other hand, he's still an 81 army supply. He still has the potential of 50 extra army supply to be added into this army. Well, near 50. Well, 40 right now. Anyway, that's going to put him around the same army supply as Solar is. And oh, those banelings. Oh, boy. Does that mean he knows there's an opportunity here? Finds those Stalkers, but the Stalkers find the Locust. Fully upgraded Zerglings are the best, aren't they? They really do pack a punch. Those banelings. Oh, so close to reaching the High Templar. Not quite being able to do so. Solar comes in on that third base. That third base already mined out, though. His fifth base here that's being taken out. A lot more valuable. A lot more worth in that one. Being able to take out that fourth base of Hurricane. Now, that could be a good prize, but Hurricane already rotating back down, trying to stop that exact thing from happening here. Neither of these players really strapped, well, just packing a ton of cash on them right now. It is quite a terrifying battle as we see. An enormous round does come in, but the storm's landing on all of the Zerglings. Almost none of them manage to get on top of the Protoss units. And that is going to be enough for Hurricane to win that fight convincingly enough that now he is pushing across. More Zealots swapping in. GG is called. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into game number 5 with a side-up series here. Hurricane just having the better army there in the end, right? Just so much more value. Less supply overall, but so much more value in those high-tier units, especially when combined together with all of those Zealots and enough just overall soakage to try and get rid of any type of real danger of the Zerg. And yeah, very well done there by Hurricane. Once again, he manages to secure himself that later game. Was wondering as well, perhaps, Solar, do you think he tried to not go into the late game here because it didn't go all that swell the previous time around? Was struggling quite heavily against the carriers. Suddenly now trying to stick more so to the mid-tier unit composition and try and finish the game on that. Didn't quite work. What are we going to get right now? Is he going to take it one step further and just make it as aggressive as he can? It could be the case. Or is he actually going to just try to macro it out as well this time around, right? We know he can be pretty good with the Lurkers as well, but we don't know. We don't know. Only Solar knows. Although, you know what? I wouldn't be too surprised if we see something very aggressive here out of Solar. It's kind of what I don't know. I just have this tingling in the back of my mind telling me that Solar is going to get aggressive here, but you know, I'm not a fortune teller there, unfortunately. Or here or there. Near, nor there. Whoosh! In the top right side, we got the blue Zerg player fighting for Kaizi Gaming. He was looking pretty sharp, but now suddenly it's tied up once again. Solar. He is facing off against the red Protoss in the bottom left side. He's teamless. Going toe-to-toe with one of the finest Korean Zergs available right now. He is Hurricane. Oh, probe too late. The probe was too late. Solar incredibly early with this base here. I think there was a 16 hatch or maybe even a 15 hatch. But does manage to secure it there before Hurricane does come in to block it. Well done there by Solar. Less overall distance now between his two bases. Very important. We're gonna see a Stargate play here again, right? I would imagine so. I would be very surprised if he doesn't. As maybe if he did get the block on that hatchery and he forced the expansion over here, then this is a great map for adepts, but right now, I mean, I would be very surprised if we get anything else but the Stargate. On the solar side of things, man, I'm not even sure anymore what I want to see from him, right? I really did like the Swarmost, but the Swarmost just kind of falling short in the end. Kind of getting caught out off guard as well, though. That's the downside of not having a Nidus Worm with them, of course. And the Nidus Worm does signal that there will be an attack coming from a certain direction, but doesn't always guarantee that you'll be able to defend it. And the same could be said as well, actually, right? Because you could use the Nidus Network more so for a escaping tool instead of rather than getting over that tool. So you could move your Swarmost into that location, use the Locust, and then as the Locusts are flying over, you start spawning the Nidus Worm. And that should give you ample of time to get those Swarmost out as well. That's if the Protoss army is already on top of you, of course, but that's a whole different story, right? You'd be screwed then, in particular, if you didn't have a Nidus Worm. Even more so, perhaps. The little adept trying to figure out the drone numbers here. Sees that they are, well, pretty much where they need to be. Nothing out of the ordinary. Sees the third base as well, I would assume. Right, did go to check for it. Yeah, he did. Oh, Adepts, where are you off to? Yeah, it does get punished. Ooh. Slight delay here on that third base for Hurricane. He's gonna have to slap on some other infrastructure now. The Void Rays should be able to keep these Zerglings away though, but they are gonna stick around for a little bit longer. Just to be annoying. Second Stargate coming up again here for Hurricane as well. Will commit more heavily into the Void Rays. Although, you know what, I say that. I remember the first game he only made 4 of them off of the back of 2 Stargates. So, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Huh. Alright. Guess he gets the adepts. Well done. How many Zerglings did he lose? I don't know. A fair bit. A fair bit. A good amount. Now, the previous time as well, in that game with the 4 Void Rays, of course, the 4 Void Rays came across and they got a cancel on that 4th base as well. Now, I would imagine we're going to see a similar attempt being made here by Hurricane, although this time around he's bringing in 2 Void Rays and more heavily focused onto the Phoenixes. We do have a couple of Queens here out and about in the middle, and they are going to get picked up quite rapidly. This is denying a lot of the transfuse potential as well. More queens. There we go. 4 queens. That should be enough with that other one to stop this from just wreaking havoc upon the Zerg's base. The Zerg also, I kind of failed to mention it. He is trying to get across the map here and kill his opponent quite aggressively. So there is, in fact, aggression coming out of Solar here. We'll be able to take out the shield battery. That is a nice thing. Trying to get the Zerglings on a good surround here. But there's just so many Zealots that make it quite difficult. Solar needs to watch out with his ground forces here as well. The Void Race and the Phoenix, of course, have the free pickings as long as those queens aren't there. Maybe a transfuse. Oh, okay, does manage to get one low roach into the Ravager cocoon. Not taking that much damage anymore from the Phoenix. Oh boy, that is rough. I think we're going to see GG coming up here momentarily, guys. I don't think Solar has what he needs to break this. There's just too many Phoenixes here. He's doing some damage onto the Nexus right now. Is he going to get the Nexus? He might get the... He's going to get the Nexus. Is that enough? More queens are coming in. Zerglings and Ravagers still going strong. More Zerglings spilling on through. The Phoenix are kind of running out of energy. But there's still 2 queens available. Alright, then no anymore. They are gone. Yeah, Solar. That is rough. That is quite rough. He still has a good army supply here, especially considering most of the army supply of Hurricane is within those Phoenix. They're not going to be the best tool. The Biles trying to land them onto the Void Race. I mean, if it works, that would be fantastic, but it's a tough thing to aim and try to make hit here. Really shouldn't work, you know. And Solar just taking quite a bit of damage on his way home again. He did get the Nexus kill, so that's a good thing, but a counter attack here for Hurricane could be quite devastating as well. Oh, gets another cancel on the Nexus. Pretty smooth. Is Hurricane still interested in the 3rd Nexus is my question. I mean, he does have the 61 probes, so he would be able to mine a lot more efficiently, of course, but we're not seeing any more probes being constructed. Might just be because he's afraid of a second wave of units coming across the map here, and you know what? He's right. He is absolutely right. There's more Zerg coming across. Again here, this Nexus trying to get chomped down by those Zerglings. We have a couple of Hydralisks now. I say a couple. That's a good amount of Hydralisks. Oh my, oh my. Again, getting the cancel on this 3rd base. Solar pushes in again. We'll find a good amount of those Phoenix as well. There we go. 3, maybe almost 4. 3 is already a good amount though. Archons will go down quite rapidly against those Hydras, but with the shield battery overcharged, it will not, of course. Hydras managed to pull away from the shield battery a little bit here. Try to target fire as much as possible here. Solar struggling against the Zealots though, without any buffer, without any roaches here for the Hydras. He's losing a lot of them quite rapidly. And once again, Hurricane looks like he will be able to hold on. But once more, without a 3rd base. And without taking a decisive victory against the army there of Solar. Actually, less decisively than it was the previous time. So Solar is going to have a lot more of a relaxed moment here. Just moving down again and getting another cancel. It's a lot easier for him this time around. I'm not entirely certain if I want to see him try and break the natural base. Honestly, just containing his opponents here, just getting vision with the Overseer in the main base, that is more than enough in my opinion. You don't need to finish him off right now. This is one of the ways where we may still see Hurricane take the game, but Solar convinced that this is going to be enough for him. He has the 4th base on the way. He's taking out gateways. And he's taking out every single Zealot that is having a rough time. It's a single DT though. A couple of DTs now. 2 DTs in total. Are going to be able to stop this attack from continuing onwards. We don't have Storm just quite yet for those High Templar. They are desperately trying to run away. Waiting for that Storm to finish up here. DT still slicing and dicing, but it will not be enough. GG is called. Hurricane taps out Solar. Finds himself with the 3rd victory.